We're going to stay in the Pac-12. I've talked about the Pac-12 a lot on the podcast over the last couple of days. Make sure that you guys go ahead and check out those segments. We talked about USC football and UCLA, Utah, Oregon State as well. And one of the last teams that we're going to be talking about is Oregon. And Oregon is a team that many people are kind of overlooking in a sense because they bring in a new head coach in Daniel Lanning, formerly the defensive coordinator for Georgia. And we know that Oregon has a lot of talent. Their over-under win total going into this season is 8.5. So that shows you that people in Vegas are showing Oregon a lot of respect. However, I don't think not enough people are giving them enough respect when it comes to where they rank in the Pac-12 championship picture, because I think that Oregon has a really good shot at winning the Pac-12 this year. And I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but I am saying that in terms of where they lie and the discussion between them and USC, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we do see them in the Pac-12 championship game this year. Last year, under Mario Cristobal, they went 10-4, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. And on offense, if you're an Oregon fan, you have to be feeling incredibly excited about how good your offensive attack is going to be, because Oregon fans have been highly critical of the offense over the last couple of seasons. It's kind of been a vanilla offense in a sense. It's an offense that doesn't really do anything all that exciting. It's a little bit conservative in a sense. So you're going to this season, right, with a new offensive coordinator. You have some new blood in there. And they have talked a lot about how they want to stretch the field. They want to take more shots deep. And that's something that you love to hear if you're a Ducks fan. Now, your quarterback is most likely going to be Auburn transfer Bo Nix. And I think that Bo Nix, to his credit, even though I have been a really big critic of his over the last couple of seasons, he had a really good season for Auburn last year, considering the situation that he was in. This was an Auburn team that had struggles at wide receiver. Remember, they fired their wide receiver coach really early into the season. The offensive line play wasn't all that great. And when Bo Nix went down with his injury, you could see that this offense just completely fell apart. And if he would have played in that Alabama game, Auburn might have been able to pull off the upset in that matchup. So I think that Bo Nix is coming off one of the best seasons, if not the best season of his collegiate career. And this is probably the most talented supporting cast that he has ever had. The wide receivers, although you do have a lot of new faces, you have plenty of talent. You have wide receivers who have been highly recruited coming out of high school, such as Troy Franklin. You have Dante Thornton. Both of those guys were 4-star recruits, both top 100 players ranked nationally coming out of the 2021 recruiting cycle. You also have Seven McGee, who is a wide receiver slash running back hybrid. He also was a 4-star recruit from that 2021 recruiting cycle as well. The offensive line is one of the best in all of college football. You return 4 out of 5 starters. So this is a really good situation that Bo Nix is walking into. And then the running back group is really good. You have Byron Cardwell, who had a really good freshman campaign. Sean Dollars is more of the change of pace back. He's pretty shifty. He has a lot of quickness. And then you have Noah Whittington, who is probably going to be your third down back because he has the best hands out of the running backs currently on the roster. So offensively, this may be one of the best offenses that we've seen from Oregon in a very long time. And that's saying a lot considering the fact that you had Justin Herbert as your quarterback not too long ago. But everybody was asking, why is Justin Herbert so better in the NFL than when he was at Oregon? Well, to answer your question, it was the offense. So that tells you everything that you need to know about the kind of style of offense that Oregon was running under head coach Mario Cristobal. So I'm really excited for what Oregon is going to do on the offensive side of football, man. I think you're going to see a lot of big plays downfield. You're going to see a lot of explosive plays. You're going to be seeing a lot of things happening after the catch. Because one thing about their wide receiver room is that every single one of these guys can fly. Everybody has wheels. They all were people who formerly ran track in high school, in a sense. So I'm really happy that Oregon is bringing in a new offensive coordinator for a change. I like the fact that now we're going to have an opportunity to really see the wide receivers and the talent that Oregon has recruited over the last couple of years finally be utilized in a really good way. And I'm not trying to say that Oregon underutilized any of the wide receivers that they've had in the past. I'm not trying to say that. All I'm saying is that their offense could have been a little bit more better than what it was under Mario Cristobal. Now, the defense side of football, that's probably where many people, if you're a USC fan or a Utah fan, you're probably going to say, man, JT, the defense stunk last year. There's no shot that Oregon's going to be able to make it to the Pac-12 championship. Well, even though the defense wasn't all that great, it should improve with the fact that you have Dan Lanning as your head coach, and with him being the defensive coordinator for Georgia over the last couple of years, he should be able to turn around this Oregon Ducks defense. And it's not as if Oregon doesn't have no talent on defense at all. They've recruited pretty well. Their defensive line should be pretty solid. Your linebackers, you have Noah Sewell, who had 114 tackles in 2021, which led the team. You have Justin Flo. Really excited to see what he can do finally with him being able to get on the field. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's only played in, 2 games over the last couple of years. So with him being able to come in, and if he can stay healthy, I think without a question he ends up being one of the best linebackers in the nation. If that ends up holding true, then you have the best linebacker core in college football with Noah Sewell and Justin Flo. How good is the secondary going to be, though? Because they did lose a good amount of talent to not only the NFL, but also you had one of your better corners who ended up transferring to Auburn during the offseason. However, I do like Christian Gonzalez. He definitely is somebody that I'm going to have my eyes on this year. So you look at Oregon and you break down their schedule, right? I think that Oregon has one of the toughest out-of-conference schedules in college football this year, because you start off week 1 going against Georgia, and that's a really tough game for any program, especially under a new head coach. Now, Oregon fans are probably going to be feeling a little more optimistic than how most fan bases would be when they play against Georgia. And the reason for that is because you have Georgia's former defensive coordinator. However, Oregon fans are probably going to say, JT, we have a great chance winning that game because Dan Lanning knows Kirby Smart, he knows Georgia's system, he knows what they like to do on the defensive end. We're going to be pretty prepared. Understandable. However, this is what you have to understand. Georgia is Georgia for a reason. They have recruited at a very high level, a really elite level, and on top of that, it's not going to be all that hard for Kirby Smart to switch things up. And then offensively, we still don't know how good that secondary is going to be. And even though you do have Stetson Bennett at quarterback, and many people still kind of doubt him, despite the fact that he won a national championship or whatnot, whatever. The secondary is going to get tested in this game. You have a really good group of wide receivers that Georgia is bringing in. Reek Gilbert is somebody who I'm really excited to see. What's going to happen with Brock Bowers? Who's going to end up defending him? So there are a lot of things that you have to take into account as an Oregon fan going into that Georgia game. And if you guys want me to, I can end up breaking down that game. Even though it's a couple of weeks away, we still have a very long while to go until week 1 of the college football season. But if you're interested in hearing my thoughts more in depth on that matchup, let me know down in the comment section down below if you want to hear that, if you're listening to this on YouTube. But that Georgia game, I'm not going to say it's going to be an automatic L, but it's going to be a pretty tough game that I'm going to have a hard time seeing Oregon win. I think that Oregon is definitely going to be able to maybe hang around for a couple of quarters or two, but I do expect Georgia to be able to pull away in that game. Then you do face Eastern Washington at home. That should be a victory there. Then you have to play BYU at home. And BYU is a really, really tough outing for anybody this season. And BYU has assembled a pretty tough schedule this year. You look at BYU, right? And you look at the fact that they have a good amount of production returning. You have a really good head coach and a really good quarterback. Oregon definitely is going to be in for a dogfight in that game. So I'm not going to say they're going to lose that game. I think they have a really good shot at winning that one. But you have two really tough games to start the season. Week 1 and Week 3. Then after that, you enter conference play. And your next 3 games on paper look to be pretty easy. They should be pretty winnable. You have to go on the road to Washington State. You should be able to win that one. You have Stanford at home. Then you play Arizona. So no matter how you start in the outer conference, even if you start off with a loss against Georgia, you should be able to turn things around against Eastern Washington. So you go 1-1. Then you play BYU at home. You should be able to pull that one off. 2-1. But even if you lose that game and you go 1-2 to start the season, you're still not in a bad situation, because then you have the opportunity to have 3 really easy, winnable games: Washington State, Stanford, Arizona. So maybe you end up what? Okay, win against Washington. You could end up winning against BYU. So what? You're pretty much at 1, 2, 3. You should be able to win 4 or 5 games during that stretch. So then you play UCLA at home, coming off a bye. Then you have to play Cal, Colorado, Washington, which isn't an easy stretch, because the 2 toughest games that you do have is UCLA and Washington. But you should be able to come away at least winning the majority of those games. You should definitely be able to beat Cal and Colorado, even though both of those games are going to be on the road there. Washington is a team that we really don't know too much about. They have a new coaching staff, so we don't really know what to expect. We don't really know how long that Washington rebuild is going to take. We don't know if they're going to be a team that's just going to be able to explode right away this year if their new head coach, or if it's going to be a little bit of some growing pains there. Then after that, you play Utah at home. Then you have to go on the road and face your arch rival, Oregon State. So all in all, Oregon should definitely be able to have 8 wins, bare minimum. Maybe 7, worst case scenario. But I think that I could see this team around 9, 10 wins, honestly. Now, is 10 wins good enough to get you into the Pac-12 championship game? Because you still have to be able to beat Utah. And Utah is that team that gave Oregon a lot of trouble last year. However, Oregon is going to be better on the defense side of the football this year, so they shouldn't be getting gashed the way they did against Utah last year, because the way Utah beat Oregon, they just were disrespectful. They just said, we're not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to beat you with old-fashioned football, ground and pound, tire your defense out, keep your offense off the field. So hopefully Oregon doesn't allow that to happen again, because I picked Oregon to win those matchups twice, and both of those games they ended up losing, especially the Pac-12 championship game. That may have been the most embarrassing loss that Oregon had all season, simply for the fact that you lost to the same team and they beat you the same way that they did the last time. So you look at Oregon, I think that they have a really good shot at being able to win the Pac-12 this year. And the reason why I think they have a better chance is because I think that when you look at the depth that they have, I think that's going to play a major role into being able to beat a team like Utah, because UCLA is really good, but I question how much talent they have on the defensive end of things. And then on top of that, you question USC when it comes to how much depth they have on both ends of the football, the offensive line and on the defensive side of the football. So for Oregon, I think that you have a really good shot at being able to not only win 10 games, but to be able to surprise some people and win this conference. So Let me know how you guys are feeling about the Oregon football program going into the 2022 college football season. Do you guys feel that they can win the Pac-12 this year? Let me know down in the comment section down below.